Nothing changes a person like a few decades in a kitchen. Need proof? Just ask these celebrity chefs, if you can even recognize them. Back in his bizarre foods days, Andrew Zimmern owned his whole literature professor on vacation vibe when he changed his look circa the COVID-19 era. However, we got to see some funkier sartorial choices from the former Travel Channel host.
This is the last frogs of the day, huh?
Zimmern's bushy beard and larger, off-tinted glasses lean more into his classic rock-era upbringing than the more buttoned-up look he once donned on TV. And he brings an ease to the colorful and casual outfits that mark this style switch. Zimmern also appears to have lost a few pounds. He hasn't been publicly touting any diet tricks, but as always, he has been transparent about the connection between people and food. In 2022, he became an advisor to Next Gen's Foods chicken substitute brand Tyndall, and he has often spoken about the personal and ecological benefits of a plant-based diet. For a long time, Paula Deen's image was that of a sweet Southern grandma. Deen was known for her unapologetic love of Southern-style comfort foods that, in all honesty, were pretty high in fat. But while her decadent recipes may have seemed a little over the top, she always came across as being comfortable with her fuller figure. After being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2009, however, Deen cut back her calorie intake and went on medication. She shed around 40 pounds as a result, just before she stepped away from the spotlight in the wake of her infamous racial discrimination scandal in 2013.
There is a potential for Paula Deen's career to collapse like a bad souffle right now.
In recent years, as Deen has worked to rebuild her reputation, she has both changed up her style and become noticeably thinner. Deen often pulls her hair back and wears oversized glasses, a departure from her TV chef look of yesteryear. Nowadays, Chef Kwame Onwuachi brings a vibrant punch-up to his wardrobe, and he approaches cooking with the same vivacity. Onwuachi entered the world of TV cooking when he appeared as a competitor on Top Chef Season 13. That was in 2015 when the then 26-year-old Onwuachi was more clean-cut and still had a bit of a baby face. After a solid run in his season, Onwuachi started making moves in the professional world. He opened his own restaurants, wrote his memoir, and won a James Beard Award. During his stint as a recurring guest judge on Season 18 of Top Chef in 2020, his wardrobe was noticeably edgier. When asked about how his look had evolved, Onwuachi explained that being confined to a chef's uniform for so long made him want to embrace his flashier side. During one of his early appearances on Top Chef, Richard Blais was an even-tempered chef who loved molecular gastronomy and, for some reason, rocked a faux hawk. And in more recent years, Blais' hairstyles have journeyed to even more fantastic heights. Blais showed off an aggressively coiffed pompadour as a guest judge on the Top Chef Season 18 premiere, which quickly inspired comparisons to Johnny Bravo on Reddit. Blais' post-COVID hairstyle is still tall, but it's now styled a little more conventionally and usually paired with a short-trimmed beard.
My love of exotic and tropical fruits really comes for me looking for hair inspiration.
One of the most notable changes Blais has been through, however, is his physique. As an up-and-coming chef in the early 2000s, long work hours and late nights saw Blais put on some extra weight. When he met his now-wife Jasmine in 2004, he learned that she had been a personal trainer. This helped Blais stay motivated when it came to working out. As a result, he was able to shed 60 pounds. Cooking competition judge and acclaimed chef Graham Elliot transformed more than just his look. He changed his whole lifestyle. Elliot says that his weight has been a lifelong struggle, causing him health problems such as high blood pressure and sleep apnea. In 2013, when he weighed almost 400 pounds, he decided to have gastric sleeve surgery to facilitate weight loss. In less than a year, he dropped 150 pounds. Elliot showed up to judge Season 5 of MasterChef, looking almost unrecognizable, except for his trusty white-framed glasses, of course. Elliot said that losing the weight made it easier to play with his kids, and he no longer had to rely on a sleep apnea mask for a good night's rest. To keep the weight off, Elliot swapped his favorite junk foods like cookies and candy with more health-minded snack foods such as nuts, dried fruit, and seaweed. Elliot's weight has fluctuated in the decade-plus since his weight loss surgery, but he continues to do the work to maintain a healthier weight. Pete Evans was once a familiar face on Australian TV as the co-host of My Kitchen Rules. The show was a huge hit, and Evans soon became known as a well-dressed, pretty boy breed of chef. His co-hosting duties on PBS's Emmy-nominated series, Movable Feast with Fine Cooking, introduced him to American audiences and showed off more of his rugged side. But this was nothing compared for what was to come. In the wake of the pandemic, Evans embarked on a tireless anti-vax crusade that got him banned from various social media platforms. As his belief in conspiracy theories took over his life, he became an unkempt shadow of his former self. Until September 2023, the controversial chef was running a health retreat in the Australian foothills, where his scruffy, wild appearance seemed almost appropriate. First things first, Lazarus Lynch has always been fabulous. He came onto the culinary scene in the late 2010s as a fresh-faced competitor on Food Network's Chopped, which he won twice. That show led to several more Food Network appearances for the budding young chef, and when he began hosting Comfort Nation a couple of years later, his style choices became more expressive, fun, and stylish. Bright color, statement accessories, the chicest threads, and a cool makeup look are all part of Lynch's dress code these days. Notably, he released his first cookbook, Son of a Southern Chef, in 2019. The book brims with Lynch's splashy, fashion-forward photos, affirmations of self-love, and many of his late father's classic soul food recipes. Like his killer style, Son of a Southern Chef is unique, full of life, and unequivocally Lynch. In the 21st century, chefs and tattoos go together like cookies and cream. But Aarón Sánchez's ink goes beyond the norm. Sanchez's arms, torso, and legs are all inked up, and every tattoo Sánchez gets holds a cultural tie to his heritage or signifies personal meaning in his life.
Is there anywhere on your body that doesn't have a tattoo?
I have one butt cheek that's kind of bare right now.
Although Sánchez appeared more clean-cut years ago, he's been into tattoos the whole time. He owns a tattoo shop in NYC with the person who gave him his first tattoo in 1995. Speaking to the Napa Valley Register in 2015, he said, "When I started cooking, like tattooing, it was considered an anti-establishment way of life." As Sanchez's culinary fame expanded, so did his literal body of work. And while his goatee and ink collection might give off a tough guy vibe, he's actually a happy-go-lucky family man type. For Sánchez, life is about celebrating your roots, connecting with people, and finding happiness through that connection. In this way, his love of tattoos and food share a common bond. In the 1980s, Nancy Silverton worked as the pastry chef at Wolfgang Puck's legendary Spago, before opening a number of her own restaurants and bakeries. When she began featuring more on food television, her flair for bold fashion was impossible to ignore. Silverton's 90s look consisted of pulling her curls into a high ponytail and sporting an apron with plain clothing. As time went on, however, she tired of the mundane aesthetic. As she told The Cut, "I have developed a deep desire to wear stylish clothes. My first restaurant job, I wore Levi's and a t-shirt. With my age and financial situation, I have been fortunate to be able to afford the clothes I love. I can put on a Marni or even a Gucci outfit, go to work, and put on my white bark apron over it." When chef Michael O'Hare appeared on BBC Two's Great British Menu in 2015, he didn't look or cook like anyone else who had been on the show. As the owner of the avant-garde Michelin star restaurant, known as the Man Behind the Curtain, O'Hare seemed on track to usher in a new era of the UK rebel chef.
My cooking's about creativity, about artistic freedom.
Since then, a lot has changed for O'Hare, including his look. O'Hare sports a wavy blonde mane, a full departure from his TV debut look, and it was apparently years in the making. O'Hare favored a bleached version of the shag mullet for a while, cut it short, then grew it out again. Sadly, the Man Behind the Curtain closed in late 2023, by which time O'Hare was looking more like a surfer than anything else. A rebrand gave the restaurant a few more months of life, but it shut again in October 2024. Still, no matter where O'Hare ends up next, at least one thing is certain: his locks will remain as magnificent as they've ever been. Food Network star Anne Burrell wouldn't part with her blonde, spiky hair for anything, but that doesn't mean she hasn't altered her signature look over the years. Burrell has been rocking some version of her cropped, messy blonde locks for decades. As a self-proclaimed child of the 80s, she has often been more inclined to go for the unkempt look, rather than a more smoothed-out take on the above-the-chin cut. Since arriving on the celeb chef scene, Burrell has worn her hair as a wild shag, a pink-tipped hawklet, and a platinum swoop, and that isn't the only way she's changed her look. Around 2017, Burrell showed off a slimmer figure. When she was asked to spill some details on her weight loss secrets, her strategies seemed pretty basic. She stays active, enjoys berries and yogurt in the morning, only eats healthy snacks, and makes well-rounded meals from scratch at home.